Hello, welcome to the Lately in PHP podcast. This is episode 63. We've been doing this for many years, and for the latest times, we have been having with us Arthur Sosin from the cold Latvia, right? Is it?
63. Yes, so it's like more than 5 years now, right?
Yeah, we completed like 5 years,
Wow.
a few months
Wow.
ago.
That's just wow.
Yeah. So I can guess it's really cold because you are wearing a jacket this time.
Well, it's not like you wearing a scarf in the house, but yeah, it is
Yeah.
cold.
No, this is not a scarf this time. It's just
No, I remember the time in Portugal.
oh yes, but that was really cold.
Yeah,
No,
Portugal is
no,
one of the coldest countries, right?
oh really? Of course not. Well, over here it's winter, and some days it's colder than usual. Today it's colder and raining. It was not supposed to be raining, but well, never mind. We are here to talk about PHP, and we're going to start by the set of usual topics that we cover, starting with the latest PHP versions. For the PHP 5.4.4, we have, like the usual, oh, it jumped.
Hey, why do you have a walking elephant in your corner and I do not have one?
Oh, because I'm special. And
How so?
I'm a liar. I don't know. Why don't you have a running elephant
I have simply a
on the car?
PHP text and that's all.
Well,
Okay.
it's under PHP.net. Isn't that what you are?
Yeah, the same link.
Yeah. Share your screen so we can see what's the difference.
Okay. So do you see it?
Oh. So could it be cache? And
I don't.
your URL is oh, it's the same URL.
Yep.
I have no idea. One of us is caching probably an older version. I don't know. Well, anyway, we were talking about
Important stuff.
the actual versions of PHP. As usual, the PHP 5.4 is probably one of the last releases with just security fixes, because after that there are no more. There will be no more updates, and these are security fixes, I guess. I mean, I'm sure they should be security fixes, but sometimes you see like null pointed references, and maybe that could cause an indirect security problem. As for 5.5, we are. Let me share the right screen. Okay.
Oh.
We are up to 5.528. Actually, we are still mentioning the versions of last month, which was August, because we're recording in September. Although I think there are new releases already in September, but let's just comment about these. Basically, they seem the same. Fixes, probably there are a few more or not. They seem pretty much the same. Yeah, there are a few differences, but many of these are also security fixes. As for 5.6, we have a longer sequence of fixes, and I don't see anything more relevant to comment. So, as usual, the advice is to check this list and see if you are being affected by these bugs, and try to upgrade I realize that many people do not actually upgrade their own uh, uh, their own PHP version because they depend on the distribution of Linux that they use. So if the distribution of Linux did not upgrade yet, they don't. But although sometimes they do that even on dedicated servers, they could actually
Install themselves.
yeah compile them manually. But I guess most developers either do not know or do not want to compile PHP manually.
Don't want to mess up something.
Nah, it's just configure, make, install, and that's it. Have you tried to compile PHP manually?
No.
Yeah, I suspected that you are one of the majority that never does that. I do that because I control the actual extensions that I want to link, and they are become built in the PHP rather than being dynamically loaded. Okay, so the next topic is about yet another release candidate for PHP 7. As I mentioned, we are getting closer the final PHP 7.0.0
Should be in
version.
October. Should be in October. Do you think
Yes.
so? Next month we will probably comment on it.
Well, I don't know. Probably there will be yet another release candidate. It's not a fixed number of release candidates. It always depends on the amount of bugs that are still being found and fixed. We had already 2 release candidates lately, and as usual, you can either download the source, and if you feel brave enough to compile it yourself manually, or download the already built version for Windows, which is what yeah, many people will probably do that. Many people that are trying, but I suspect the vast majority of PHP developers will not try PHP 7.0 until it is an official release. So moving on to the next topic, now let's start commenting about an interesting proposal already for PHP 7.1. It's basically something that will be called PCO. PCO, it's sort of similar to PDO, except that is for cryptography. It is, PCO stands for PHP Crypto Objects. And the idea is to provide an abstraction layer around different types of cryptography libraries, just like PDO is an abstraction layer around different types of database access libraries. So there is an article here on which the author mentions what he plans to make it work. I don't know if he already implemented something like this based on pure PHP code, or this is just an abstract proposal. But the idea is to turn it into a PECL extension,
yeah.
And eventually
he already maybe started or have a good idea of what to do, because he's also mentioning that what I need from you is guidance on what features or changes you want to see, and which would be put off until later. So basically he knows what he's doing. He probably already started experimented, knows that it will work, and so But I think somewhere previously in previous podcasts we also were talking about cryptography, and they were talking just about this, like how to solve the problem of using cryptography, different cryptography algorithms on
Right.
PHP, and that would be actually a great solution.
Yes, actually, this is more to provide a successor, if we call it so, of to mcrypt, because mcrypt is based on a library that has not been updated for many years, and
And this way it would be library independent. You can plug different libraries, I think.
yeah, more or less, it's more or less library independent, like PDO. PDO is not so library independent. It tries to abstract as much as possible, but there are things that are different in between databases. For instance, Oracle does not have auto increment fields, so you could not get the last inserted database table identifier because it doesn't make sense. So the idea is precisely to provide as much abstraction as possible, but obviously there are things that are different. I believe that from the examples here, I can see there are namespaces for symmetric and asymmetric encryption. Because you can encrypt things with a key or encrypt things with a private and public keys, and sign, and they call it seal here. Okay. Well, I think this is interesting. That's basically my idea of this proposal. It seems to have been well accepted, probably. I did not find an RFC for this yet. I don't know if it exists already, but probably it will pop up soon if it is not ready yet. And there are also other things in this proposal that I could not really understand much because I'm not an expert on these topics. Cache timing safe character encoding functions. I'm not sure what would be the differences here. Provide alternatives to X to bin, bin to X, base to 64 encode, base 64 decode.
Yeah, so I think as it says that like their unsafe counterparts, but without branches or data-based index lookups. So basically, hex to bin to hex, and base 64 encode use some kind of database index lookups or something like that. And TS functions would not rely on these indexes or lookups, and would probably do everything runtime.
Like avoiding using caches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, personally, I was not even aware that these functions use caches internally. But okay, if that's the case, we are always learning. Then there are other ideas, but these are just ideas that are probably related to existing libraries. OpenSSL, mcrypt. Okay, I think that this is an interesting proposal, so let's move on to the next topic. The next topic is somewhat related. There is an RFC for functions that generate random values. There are
PRO, PHP random objects.
I don't know.
That was reference to the previous PC.
No, because these functions already exist. They don't need new naming. These functions already exist in in PHP 7, random int, random bytes,
Yeah,
they
but you could
generate.
use different algorithms to generate random stuff, random seeds.
Yeah, but I don't know if this is abstracted internally. Well, anyway, the proposal here is not about these functions because they are already available in PHP 7. The proposal is that in some cases the functions can fail. And if they fail, the idea is to throw exceptions. That's the idea of the proposal. And I think, well, since I never use these functions, I'll probably would not be concerned until I actually saw this proposal. But over here it says when it throws exceptions and the type of exceptions and well, okay, I think this is just to make these functions more reliable. And if they fail for some reason, they would not cause any problems to the application that uses them for returning invalid results because of the failures. So I think that's basically it about this proposal. So moving on to the next topic, I was jumping around to see about this proposal because the discussion appeared split in many parts, and the proposal is about having visibility modifiers for class constants, like private, protected, and public. We already have that for functions and variables, so why not constants?
Why
Yeah,
can't they do
that.
everything in one swipe? Why they need to be added differently? I guess it's based on the source. I don't know.
Yeah, and the idea is that the the just to make PHP more feature complete, more consistent. And I think there is an RFC here that defines, well, there's not much unexpected on this proposal. You just define constants as the way you define variables. So I think that's it. There is only a slight difference between a variable and a constant, is that the constant cannot be changed. So now with this visibility modifier patch that is being proposed for PHP 7.1, it will allow PHP to use these constants and protect them so they are not accessed from places they should not be.
And previously they were public.
Yes,
It seems so.
they
Yeah.
were public, but you would need to have access to the object, of course.
Yeah, of course. Not like static.
Yeah. Okay. So another proposal that is being submitted. Actually, this proposal was submitted already some time ago, and but now they are being discussed because eventually they will not. They would not go in time for PHP 7.0. They
Can you
probably
share the screen?
yeah. Okay. So they call it short closers. It seems that the proponent does not like to type all this code and prefers to type just this code.
Actually, in JavaScript, ECMAScript 6 2015 now I think it's called, right? Uh,
Yeah.
there was ECMAScript 6 script 6 basically. There was something similar to type functions like that, and they would automatically like bind also bind this context and stuff like that. But syntax is also much shorter, so someone is following someone, I think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
basically,
you're
I think
probably right because in some aspects, PHP already has things that JavaScript did not have, and they have been adding them, and vice versa.
yeah,
And now even ECMAScript 6 is going to have features not from PHP but from the EC language.
yeah,
Well, not that they have been inspired on the EC language. It's just something that makes sense. So you can, for instance, the await and the async operators will allow you to execute code asynchronously and do not have to rely on callbacks to actually determining the flow of the code and what will happen after something that is run asynchronously. PHP 7 does not yet have that feature. I suspect that in the future somebody will suggest having that feature because the EC language has it and it makes perfect sense and is ideal when you have a synchronous code. It's not something that you use in many PHP applications, but if you want to execute many things in parallel and make it more efficient, it would make sense. But we were talking about this proposal of shorter closures. Well, I think, well, for me, I don't know what you think, but for me, this seems to make the code less readable.
yeah. It's similar, I think, to ternary operator. They allow you to write shorter ifs, but they make code unreadable. So sometimes
Yeah,
you use them, sometimes you're not, and someone likes them, someone not. So it will be the same for this. But what I think is the most interesting will be is to know if it would be voted or not, because we comment on a lot of similar RFC proposals, and most of them, which are just nice to have things or sugar syntax, are
yeah,
actually voted out and not accepted. So it would be interesting to see what happens to this one,
yeah.
especially
Uh,
there is a pull request already. You're
yeah.
just showing the screen, it seems so.
Yes, there is a pull request, and it's not just that this proposal was initially sent in May, but this is the version 0.2, which seemed to have been updated in September 1st. So probably the proposal was updated to address some previous criticisms. Well, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to follow all the discussions. Well, not sometimes. It's always hard to follow all the discussions because they sometimes get too intense, too many messages being exchanged. So if we don't have all the time, we're just here trying to make an effort to cover as much as possible
Yeah.
things that may interest to PHP developers in general. Well, with this, we practically reached the end of this podcast. Just briefly mention that from now on, we're going to do things a little different. We are not going to do the transcriptions anymore because they take a lot of time produce and delay the publication of the Hangout, and the podcast. And I don't know if everybody reads the transcriptions. So if you miss the transcriptions of the podcast, please post a comment when this Hangout post is published. And we'll also have separate hangouts to not make these too long, on which we'll cover the Innovation Award that in this hangout will be just inserted just a small part, because there are many nominees to talk about, just as we have been doing lately, but also now for articles and book reviews. So you for watching the full version of those recordings, you need to watch the other recording videos. So with this, just thank Arthur again for coming, and on my behalf, that is all for now. Bye.
Bye.